Today I'll be talking about Kingston's infrastructure. The allowance for higher densities and larger buildings has been linked to improvements in Kingston's urban infrastructure. Higher densities are generally achieved by building vertically, resulting in more living space per lot and a concentration of living resources. Therefore, in order to support development, the city must rely on some critical infrastructure, such as waste and water management, transportation, and energy. What is important to note is that a shift from on-site to centralized services occurs as density increases. To better understand these needs, let's compare the infrastructure needed to support a high-rise apartment with that of a typical single-family dwelling. Let's start with wastewater. Believe it or not, a major facilitator for higher density is having a connection to a sewer line. On larger suburban or rural lots, you generally have more open land to allow for an on-site sewage treatment. This includes your typical septic tank, reed bed, and evapotranspiration bed. In urban areas, sewer lines provide a more efficient method than traditional on-site treatment systems. They allow for the treatment of large volumes of wastewater where space is limited. Sewer lines rely on a central sewage treatment facility such as the Soap Air plant, which was built in 2004. Since operation, the plant has increased the waste processing capacity of the city, allowing for new sewer lines to be built. What you will find is that areas with sewer lines cannot accommodate higher densities. Another critical infrastructure is energy. Urban developments rely heavily on their connection to the electric grid. Unlike single-family dwellings, these developments are limited in their use of alternative energy sources such as solar, natural gas, or coal. And even though the primary energy source for most dwellings comes from the grid, they are generally designed with more passive functions in comparison to a multi-story building that depends on electrical services like lifts, pumps, mechanical ventilation, and emergency lighting, making generators a must to stay operable during an outage. When it comes to water, a similar relationship exists with larger buildings having a higher dependency on a continuous water supply, as well as a need for higher pressure. Even though water storage is mandatory, it is generally shared and centralized, causing occupants to have less freedom in how it's used. Some areas with a stable supply of energy and water are more able to support higher density, causing development to follow the city's infrastructure. Even though these developments create dependency, they also allow for greater efficiency of distribution. When it comes to any distribution of service, having a concentrated destination allows for a more efficient design. For example, less infrastructure is needed to supply a street with 1,000 housing units as opposed to one community with 1,000 houses. Lastly, the city's road network not only facilitates transportation but also the distribution of these services, with power distributed overhead and water and waste pipes below. Therefore, what you will find is that higher density areas will require higher capacity roads to accommodate the increase in population and services. Now, even though the country has lots of work to do on its water supply, energy production, and road network, if planned properly, the city can become more efficient by increasing density and reducing sprawl. Thanks for watching.